Bija, which is a Hebrew name. He literally correlates the names and how many of those names are still found in those tribes. And it is. And I have seen evidence of it, not because he said it, it's just because I have, even though I'm not fluent in my father's language, I've read enough and I recognize it. Even when I see some Ghanaians, they have last names like Debra, that's from Deborah. I recognize it. Even my real surname, um, like names like um, Salome for the Aways. I've seen names like what's the man? What's the name of the? Uh, this is literally a patient literally came in with this last name, Manasseh. He literally came in with he's from Ghana, Manasseh. I see it. I don't discuss it with them. I see it, and when you speak to many uh, Africans, it's not far fetched to them because the older ones will tell you we migrated from the north and the east, and our history is ancient. I don't. But to answer that question, the Igbo, the Yoruba, and all of them, they came out of the Roman Empire, and that's how they ended up in Europe, and they migrated out of the area of Northeast Africa and Levant area, and that's why when you look at their DNA, they all have Near East and Red Sea, by the way. If you look at any West African's DNA and you upload it to GEDmatch, they all have a decent percentage of Northeast African, Red Sea, which incorporates the area of Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Sudan, and current day Egypt. And they all have Near East. So they're, they show where they came from.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions from the comment section? No. Okay. I think Brother Natural wanted to show you something regarding his DNA. It's
Hmm.
actually very interesting what he about to show you.
Okay.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Pretty good, you.
Pretty good.
Uh, I'm good. Let me share this screen. Screen. All right, this some Ged match. Can
Wait.
y'all see?
Uh. Why am I the only person that can share something? This is crazy. There we go. There you
All right, y'all can see that.
go. Mm-hmm.
So I notice right here it says the Montana Clovis.
Mm. Now, where do you
And
have that sent? Where do you have that set? At what centimorgan? You should use 1 centimeter. I'm sure it'll
yeah,
still
this is 1 centimeter. I could go do it live time and
good.
show you.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So you have a lot of matching the Clovis as expected, which just reflects the Mongol mixture.
Right, and I got a lot of Russian
Uh huh.
on some of my stuff.
Right, because there were also Asiatic tribes that migrated in Central Asian. This is why you noticed Russell Wilson showed that Central Asian. That's the Ugyars, the Chuvash, the those tribes.
All right. Okay, next slide. Now, I guess this was showing my maternal and paternal according to I guess each group.
Hmm.
And uh, what caught my eye in here was this right here for Brazil.
Hmm.
And
Let me see that again, please.
there you go.
I'm kind of Brazil.
Hey,
That's
zoom in.
okay. Okay, that Brazil is the that's a population in Brazil that if you look at the ancestral composition of those particular Brazilian samples, they are basically a colony of Austronesians that settled in Brazil. So that should not surprise you because remember the Austronesians were the earliest seafarers that came in and intermingled with our most ancient ancestors. So being that they are very similar in genetics to those Austronesians. In fact, that's really what they are. Those particular samples there, it would make sense that you would have some matching to them. And Kennewick man, I see your match to him.
Yeah, Miko just told me about him. I ain't know nothing about this person. What else? It was something else. I did see something dealing with the Australian. There it is. Oh yeah, in Peru.
That's dope.
That's it.
Hmm. Well, I'm not surprised. Remember, you had that tiny Native American matching to now, even though it's the Mongol reflection, it's still remember they've been here for some time. So
Hmm.
the people that mixed in with us, remember, even if they're newcomers, they are still footprints to where our ancestors were. So I didn't forget you had that match to Peru and Bolivia, was it?
Right.
Right. So I'm not surprised to see that. You already have shown you have ancient ancestors out of the South America region.
Now, there was something else. Where is it? This one, I believe. Well, I seen that I had. I was looking at the American part on here, and I
Mm-hmm.
seen the one you was talking about the Bantu. It says Northeast Bantu,
Mm-hmm.
or 93%,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got the Bolivian 96.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pronounce that one right there, but that one's American too, and the Mayan.
Caraciana, that's an Amazon South
Oh
American
yeah,
tribe.
oh
Australia,
yeah,
you had you have Australoid populations that were indigenous even before you had the Yoruba Igbo types coming in from the Roman Empire. You remember you were telling me about your Welsh ancestors, how
yeah,
yes, that they were Australoid. In fact, if you read David McRitchie's works, he talks about the indigenous population in those places being of Australoid. See, understand that the same way you had different groups of people in ancient America, melanated, okay? You had the Moors coming in as West African, the Malian Empire coming in here. They came in later, even though they were before Columbus. Everybody wasn't here from ancient times. The same thing was going on in Europe. So you had the pygmies over there. You had the Bantus over there. I showed that with Otzi. You also had an Australoid population who had oceanic type DNA. And this is why, even today, people from Ireland and Scotland often wonder why they get tiny matches to Papuan. and oceanic. And that's really a vestige of the ancient people who were of that type, Australoid type people. They would have been melanated with frizzy hair, but they were in that area even before the Yoruba types of Africans and the Igbos came in. Those guys came in late with the Roman Empire.
Right. I know you was talking about the cosign. What's it called? The cosign.
Hmm.
Cosine. They said I had 76% of that with what's it called?
Is
The
that does that say
Baika.
Khoisan at the top?
Yeah.
I can't read it. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, 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 yes. The Khoisan was here. The Khoisan was global.
Right.
So you
And
see,
I
but read Wikipedia and don't read anything else, and they'll tell you you were snatched off a boat from the Bida Bennett, Bida Biafra, right? Bida Biafra, and somebody from the plantation, white, mixed in with your ancestors, and that's what you are, throwaway African, mixed in with some slave masters, and that's all you are. And if you don't do any reading and take control of your DNA and study it for yourself, which is what I encourage, then you'll believe it. But when you study the DNA, which is what I encourage, you will see your own DNA and the results using third party tests. This is an example of what he's doing. What he's doing right here is using third party tests. This is not someone taking the interpretation and then giving you some results telling you that you 40% Nigerian. Now throwing on a Nigerian hat and going over there looking for your people. You're looking at your own stuff. And now these are not perfect, okay? But
mm,
it's still better than relying on someone else telling you, here, these are your results.
right, right. I also trace myself back to I think about one or two pygmies. Well, here's
That's
one
good.
right here. What's the name of it?
Bianca Pigment. Mhm.
Right. And
What if you don't mind, what screen is this? What program is this you're using?
Jad Match.
Which I've never used this one. This is a nice screen.
Oh, the name of this one
Oh, you're using
is
the spreadsheet.
yeah.
Mm.
Nice, nice.
Let's see. The Peruvian, I think, yeah, you already covered that one. The Mayan, you already covered that one. Oh yeah, the Malaysian. I think Malayan.
Is this the Ethiopia helix still?
I think I gotta go back and see.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I was just curious.
I wasn't done. Also seeing the I was gonna ask you about the Kohang Jew.
You see
Mm.
it there?
Yeah, it says right here.
Hmm. Well, I'm not surprised about that. Oh, the Cochin Jew? Cochin, aren't they the Jews from India?
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
They are? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I would have to do some reading as to whether they were also in England. Were they part of the Lascar population? I don't know the answer to that. So some of our people get matches to it. I can't explain it. I know how we get India. I know how we get Pakistan, Afghanistan, Balkan, Greek, Romanian, but Cochin Jew, I'm not sure. I would have to read it and figure that out. But if you're getting it, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Trying to stop screen sharing. There you go.
That's very interesting, though. That he got the coach in Jew. That's
Mhm.
very interesting.
I have seen it popped up on oracles, but I never dived into it.
I
But
have
it
never
is,
seen that.
yeah.
Anybody have any questions? I can't see the chat.
Hey Miko, well I guess those Israelites wasn't lying.
What you mean that you were Israelite, or you talking about like what you talking
I
about?
guess. I guess I'm talking about I was an Israelite.
What we want to find out were there, because England was a refuge for a lot of Jewish people, Sephardic Jews, Ashkenazi Jews. What we want to find out is if Cochin Jews were also among people that were fleeing there, because England was a big melting pot. That's why we get a lot of those markers, because our ancestors, majority of the ones that came in as that became enslaved were not from Africa. They were from areas where, even if they were predominantly black, I say that in quote, or of African descent, they were still miscegenated because they were in Europe for some time and all these people were living there. And London was a port city.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
Okay, I asked you that. I asked you that. You actually answered one of my questions indirectly. Actually, a couple of them. Um, okay. Let's see. Who would you say we are in relation to the pygmy skulls? I know that question is going to sound very familiar, and you know who always asks that. Who would you say we are? Well, let me ask it again. Who would you say we are in relation to the pygmy skulls in Holliston Mills, Tennessee?
Oh, we are their descendants.
Ah, okay.
That's why we
Perfect.
get pygmy. And they
Perfect.
are similar. They are similar to the pygmies that are in Africa, in the same way we are similar to the Bantu people in the Bantu areas of Africa. But understand, pygmy DNA was global. I showed you the Lebanese man, he had pygmy. Pygmies were there. Oxy, the 5,000-year-old frozen mummy, he had a bunch of pygmy. Bianca pygmy to top it off. That's just genetic similarity. And they're using the reference as from the Bianca pygmies in Africa. That's all.
Perfect. Phoenix, you have any other questions or natural?
Nah, that's it. I'm still looking into my oh, that's a feedback. Yeah, I'm still looking to my DNA. So I'm gonna hold that on my questions.
Mhm. I look at genealogy and DNA studies as a lifetime journey.
Absolutely.
It's not something that you achieve and you finish. It's a never ending journey, because the more you learn, the more you're going to want to know. So see, now you have some coaching Jewish going on there. Now I have to find out about that, because I've seen it before, but I just never zoned in on it.
Who would you say, like with all this being said, how would you say this relates to the she,
Does she?
the
Oh,
Olmecs?
the Chi people.
No, the Olmec.
Yeah. Oh, the Olmec. Olmec.
Mm.
Okay. The Olmec. My understanding is that the Olmec were indigenous, and my understanding, this is what I'm being told. So I'm repeating what was told to me by actually people who, one is a Lumbee and one is related to the Lumbee, and they told me that the Olmecs were actually the ancestors of Eastern Woodland people.
Oh wow,
Yes. Now, I believe it.
me too.
And let me tell you why. Because, I believe DNA. And when you look at the Ged match and you look at a number of sources genetically, and I'm sure you've seen it, have you noticed that a lot of our people get matches to the Yucatan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, And a lot of us that have Muskegean lineage, by the way, and I learned this from Native DNA because I went back and forth and asking him a whole bunch of questions, and he is very good with. He loves answering questions, and he told me that people who have more of a Muskegean lineage background, Muskegean tribes being Creek, pardon me, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, who were once one people, by the way, the Yamasees, who are really Creeks lineage wise, Seminoles, who are primarily Creek mixed in with other tribes, but those tribes down in that Mississippi Basin area or Muskegean, he said they have a tendency to have more of the Austronesian markers. Now, I noticed looking at results that I'm distantly, one of my ancestors was Piscataway, distantly. It's coming from my great great grandparents. One of them, I'm trying to figure it out because I match all of them. Literally, my uncle and my mom, they match all of them. You press one, the rest of the tribe pops up. And by the way, that's a sign of endogamy. And if you have 10 more minutes. I know we've been speaking a long time, and I really was a little rushed to complete the presentation, but I feel it's a little incomplete because I spoke so much about our DNA, but I need to include something, and I wish I had the pictures, but I will say what it is. And most of your audience, if any of your audience has done Ancestry DNA, they will know what I'm talking about.
You're more than welcome to always come back. I mean, get this off definitely, but this ain't gonna be the last time. You're more than welcome to always come back.
All right, so I'm gonna make it real quick, and then it'll give us something to deal with next time. Well, when you look at Ancestry DNA, and they give us the African American genetic communities, and by the way, I must give credit where credit is due. What I'm saying is not from me; it's from American Harris. She put this out, and I don't know if she was getting a lot of, harassment about it, but she took that video down. But it is absolutely true. And Tyrone Lewis Cannon said she was 100% on point. The so-called African American communities that they give you on Ancestry DNA is based on, what did I say a genetic community was? A group of people in an area that intermingle among themselves in the last 300 years. Guess what? That's where your major indigenous tribes are located. So, for those of you that want to know who are my indigenous tribes, Ancestry DNA told you the regions they were from, and they are in those areas, whether they are the East Texas, Louisiana border, whatever they are called, Virginia border, early North Carolina, ain't nothing but Cherokee. I figured that out, by the way. That's another story. But Virginia border, Piedmont part of North Carolina. If you look at those areas, that's where your tribes are from. Not all your tribes, because one of the things that I learned from Native DNA is that we are so miscegenated because our people had an intricate trading system long before anyone came here. So this is why we get tribal affiliations to even as far north as Canada, Salish tribes from northwest part of the United States, because our people was trading back and forth. So you could be from Virginia, and we're getting these little hits matching to the Choctaw, to the Creeks, and that's because of trading. A lot of this was already inside of us, but I'm talking about the major tribes. Absolutely, it was on point. When you look at the areas that my mom and my uncle have in terms of their African American community, lines up with my genealogical research. I already knew without DNA that the main tribes that they descended from were Algonquian tribes. I couldn't say it wasn't part of, they didn't have any Iroquois. I couldn't say that, but I knew it was the tribes coming out of Virginia who are primarily Algonquian. Now, when I did native DNA, the main tribes that my mother and uncle matched were Algonquian. And then later on, Anunnaki, which they call Cherokee, and then other stuff came in, but it matched right along with my genealogical research before anything, and the areas that were given to both of them as African American communities. The reason why our people are being confused with this is the African American community is being exposed, so they let you see the details of that African DNA. What happens with the Samoans and all these other people is they close off their categories and they just report their genetic community. With yours, they don't give your genetic community as your ethnicity. So the truth is, you really should be called Indigenous American, and then they should put underneath it from Eastern North Carolina, Virginia border, North Carolina. That's really what you are. But what they did was they made it an appendage, and they gave you African American community, and then they exposed what was in it, and then you see this Nigerian, Cameroon, Congo, and that has people confused. And what they did with the Samoan is they closed off their community and just give them Samoan, not letting you see what was inside of the Samoan, and then you'll see a little bit of whatever else is mixed with them. So you think that the only people that has African DNA would be us and Africans, not realizing that even the Samoan, the Fijian, the Cambodians, all of them have varying percentages of African DNA mixed with newer DNA, creating a genetic community called Cambodian, Vietnamese, because they all have a certain percentage of African DNA, and the same applies to various regions around the world, including the so-called Middle East, North Africa. But they play this game of the only people on the planet who has African DNA is Africans and so-called Afro-Americans and Caribbeans, and it's a form of isolation and picking on the most ancient people of the planet, when the truth is that DNA is global and everyone has it. That's all. If you don't have it,
Mhm.
where do you come from? Because that's the primordial DNA of the planet. So you
It
better
makes
have it.
me think about it makes me think about like with the Elijah Muhammad and all when they talk about the Asiatic black man. And when you trace back to Asia, Cambodia, and all those areas, and you talk to the elders or whatever there, and they'll explain to you and tell you how their ancestors were more melanated,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, more, coarse hair and all of that. I remember
Right.
speaking with some Hispanics or even Mexicans who would say that as well. Like their children were trying to laugh at the fact that somebody I was with was dark skinned. They were like, "Don't do that. It's disrespecting your ancestors because your ancestors look just like them."
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, look at the picture of the Samoan that I showed earlier. He looks like people from here.
Hmm.
In fact, I've seen him without his do rag on. He has kinky hair. He wears a do rag because he wants to get the same styles like the men here.
Yeah. Well, look, Dr. Fatu, we really appreciate you being here. We thank you so much for all this knowledge you just dropped on us. I mean, it's a lot, and we would love for you to come back another time so we can go further. You can go further in on some more stuff. This was such a good time, some wonderful gems and jewels being dropped. Um, we thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I want your listening audience to replay the video, truly learn it, because what I'm teaching, you can take this and you can apply it to any test. So you'll learn to recognize it. So when you see the Bantu, you see the West African, you'll know that's the more part of me. That's the original part of me. And you will
Mhm.
understand where all of it means.
Yes, yes. Well, we also want to go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
You had a question or a comment? Because I was gonna.
I was just gonna thank her for
Oh,
being here because I learned so much from her. I talk to her every day, so I learn a lot from her every single day. And but this right here, to me, I think that people need to watch this over and over and over again because I know I don't like how they. I don't even want to bring up the negative aspect of what happened, but they were attacking our brother Natural about saying that, oh, well, the doctor said you're African, but it's like it went over your head like a bulimic on a seesaw. You
Mm-hmm.
don't get what she's saying. Like she's really saying that you're from here, your genetic
mhm.
markers are here, and they're not understanding that they want to be African so bad, which is no problem if you're African at all. You know, we're not disparaging anybody on any continent, but she's literally telling you that you're home. Why would you argue with that?
I mean, the Samoan, the Polynesians, they have African DNA too. They're not leaving their lands to go back to Africa. And what happens is when you are attached to a belief system because that's your personal hangup, you will not properly listen. And that's what happens. That individual who said that, or the set of individuals who just heard African, they didn't listen to anything that I said. They just heard African and they just wanted to go get, to because that's what they want to be. And that's fine if that's what you want to be. But I'm not pushing an identity. I'm just here to teach the truth about DNA. If you want to call yourself an African, go right ahead. That's your right. But what you cannot do is take that and impose that onto anybody else because I can prove that that same African DNA, and I have proven it, is global. And none of these other people are calling themselves African. But if that's what you want to do, be my guest.
Mhm. So we have one last question got in before we closed it out. I don't know how you pronounce that. Is it Cohanum DNA?
Mhm.
What can you say about this?
Well, what I understand about the Cohen DNA, Cohanum DNA, it's found among people who are Jewish, among a particular group among them who descend from Levitical priests, if I understand correctly. And that DNA is actually found among the Lemba tribe.
Mhm.
So that's why they have been able to accurately. And the state of Israel, I understand there are Israeli groups that recognize them. There are Jewish newspapers that recognize them because of that. And I mean, I'm in genetic groups with people of Jewish faith. And the Mazra people of, what I might be mispronouncing, the Mazrahi Jews, Jews from Iraq,
Mhm.
Jews, Sephardic Jews, and Yemenite Jews. And let me tell you something: when they do the archaeogenetics, they are matching ancient sites of Israel, but they're not the only people that match the ancient sites in Israel.
We are.
Okay,
Okay.
so they're not lying, but they're just not the only ones matching those sites.
Okay.
That's true.
That's why I can't co-sign what the guys on the corner are teaching because I'm in genetic groups and I see that they also match. You
I knew
understand?
you were gonna bring them. I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it here. We want to thank everybody for coming in, for your questions, for just all your love and support on YouTube. We thank you guys so much. If you can go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Um, Facebook, go ahead and like and share us out. Again, Dr. Fatou, we thank you so much for being here. Natural, we thank you for coming on in and sharing your results with us.
Definitely.
Um, we're going to go ahead and end the live here. Miko, you want to say anything? Any last words?
I want to thank everybody for coming out, especially the doctor. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with us. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Most
Absolutely.
definitely.
And thank y'all too for letting me come up. Sorry, I'm in two lives at the same time, so I'm trying to dodge it back and forth. But yeah, thank you for having me up, and thank you,
Oh, no
Doc,
problem.
for going over my DNA for me.
All right,
And
you
thank
guys.
you
You guys have a
too.
wonderful night. Until next time. Peace.
All right, peace.